Hi, Michael.
I am.
The waiting's nearly over. Are your expectations as high as the fans?
Well, I'm not sure really, given that I haven't had we obviously don't have them in the stadium, but I think any at this point in the season, you have to have high expectations, or it's a pointless exercise if you don't. So yeah, we're pleased with how pre-season has gone. There's been a real focus on starting the season well, which is something we haven't done in the last couple of seasons. So we're not looking any further ahead than that. We're just focusing on making sure we start well, and then obviously build on that and develop on the team and continue, confidence, momentum, and not put ourselves in the position obviously that we've been in previously. And but yeah, I think the squad's in a good place, and I believe it's stronger than where we were in the past.
Presumably, you'll be much more happy with the balance of the side now you've got these players in.
Yes, we got I think we had to be adaptable. We had to get players that I think could play in either system was important for us as well. But we obviously now have a natural left back in the club, which is something we haven't had for a while. Certainly in the second half of last season, I think we've got good experience in the spine of the team. Real quality in terms of what Stephen Fletcher, John Obi Mikel and James Chester bring as well. So yeah, we're pleased with where we are at this minute in time. But ultimately, we'll have a clearer view of where we are once we get into the competitive action, because it's a tough league and we have to prove that we can, our away form has to be better than it was last season, and we get the opportunity to address that on Saturday.
Millwall's always a tough game, especially away, and along with ourselves, we were probably the two most consistent informed teams in the last part of lockdown. I think we both won 4 out of 6 matches. So it's going to be, as you say, they're all tough matches, but this is a particularly tough one to start with, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But when you look through the division, I think every week you're going in to play against teams that have similar aspirations to yourself. And Millwall obviously were pushing last season for a playoff place. They just missed out in the end, but they're a very good season. They've established themselves in the championship as well. So it is a tough game, but as I say, look, if we're going to do anything this season, we have to be prepared to deal with these types of games and try obviously and take 3 points in them.
And the pre-season games, I know you've said they don't mean anything when the season starts, but they must give you confidence, and the different systems you've probably tried out and the way you can vary the matches is an added bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We've sort of played, I think, 4-3-3 in 3 of the games and 3-5-2 in 2 of the games. And I think that's a nice thing to be able to do, because it's something you may change, obviously, between games, depending on the opposition. It's also something that you may have to do in-game as well, in terms of change your system in relation to what's happening during the game as well. And the most pleasing aspect, I suppose, for me has been the clean sheets that we've kept as well. We kept a clean sheet against Newcastle, against Leeds, against Blackpool. And I think that's going to be very important, that we continue with that, particularly, as I say, away from home, because I don't think you win games in the Championship away from home by outscoring the opposition. And many times I think it's difficult to do that. I think you have to be tight, you have to be difficult to beat, and you have to be prepared to win games, possibly 1-0, 2-1. And what we're seeing at this minute in time is a resilience in the squad, and that's important for us. There's aspects I still think we need to sharpen up in terms of our creativity at times and our productivity with the ball in the final third. But I'm sure that'll progress as we come into the competitive action and with each game that we play.
With the short off-season, Michael, do you feel the fitness levels are as good as you want them to be, or do you think that's something you've still got to work on?
No, we're fine. I have no concerns about that. I think the players are in a good place, and Paul Walsh has come in as the head of sports science, and he's pleased with where the players are as well. So I think we look in very good shape. We have only Joe really and as a long-term injury now, and Thibaut Verlinden just starting back to train. But other than that, everyone was available for training today, and I think that's a sign of where the fitness levels are as well.
So you've got a difficult situation now where you've got new players in who'll all be wanting to impress, older players who've been around for a while wanting to impress. It's going to be tough for you to pick the first starting 11.
Well, yeah, it is, but that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to pick teams. I don't have you have to disappoint players, of course you do, but my focus is to pick the right team for the right game, and the players will have to adapt to that. We've had that conversation with them. It's the challenging time for a player is to show the best of themselves when they're not in the team, and to train properly and behave properly when they're not in the team. So we'll see that from that going on Saturday. We have a good spirit in the group, and we have to protect that, because it's everyone wants to play. I accept that, but ultimately, that's not going to be the case. And my job is to make sure that the 11 start and the 7 subs are the right options to win the game.
Well, thanks for your time and good luck.
Thanks, Angela.
Nice to speak to you again, Michael. Been some time since I spoke to you, but nevertheless, good to see you. And obviously, we're looking forward to the start of the pre-season and the new season. So you're up and running now. What to you, and how have you assessed the pre-season then, Michael?
Yeah, it was good for us. It was challenging because, obviously it's a shorter break. We were quickly into games. I think if you look at the Linfield game, it came after possibly about a week or 11 days of pre-season, maybe even not as long as that. And we were then obviously building up to the first game of the season. So it's been good. Normally you'd obviously have a trip to a Portugal or an Austria or something like that. Obviously we were confined in doing that. We had a really good 5 days in Northern Ireland. The players enjoyed it, did good work. We're still obviously operating with the restrictions of COVID and how the club runs and everything around that, which is always still a challenge. But overall, we're pleased where we are, and we know what our team is to start the opening game.
I suppose the fact of the matter was it's been a short-sighted in terms of the way you've had to prepare for the new season, because you've had to hit the ground running after the end of the season. Very short spans of time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we need to hit the ground running regardless. I think that's, as I said earlier, that's something that we haven't done in the previous seasons. I think when you look at our away form last season, it was it wasn't of a level that would push you into being in contention for promotion. So we need to try and address that. Our home form was good, but our away form we need to improve on that. And obviously with an away game first up, that gives us the opportunity to do that.
You're wasting no time in addition to your squad. Are you happy with the way that's turned out and the fact you've added pace as well, Michael? In terms of numbers, do you feel you've got the numbers you require at the moment in time?
Yeah, we're not short in numbers. There's no doubt about that. We if anything, we've probably a few players too many. We'll see what develops in the transfer window for some of those players. But yeah, look, we had to change in most cases the profile of the player that we could bring to the club because of the restrictions of financial fair play. So the 4 players that we brought in without spending any money, I think have been excellent additions. And Morgan Fox, Stephen Fletcher, James Chester, and John Obi McHale. There's a lot of experience there, and players that have been at the top end of the game as well. So I think they've added to the dressing room. They come with high standards. We see that in the training pitch every day. And then when the market was right and we had a little bit of money to spend, we were able to go out and go for young Jacob, who's a different profile of player, a young, hungry player, great physical attributes, still in the development phase of his career, but has played a number of games. I think he's already played over 100 first team games. So all of those are positives, and we're delighted to get a player like Jacob in the building as well. And as I said, the squad to me has a nice blend of experience and quality, but also young, hungry players that are pushing to make an impact at the club.
Jacob adds to the versatility within your squad, doesn't he? Because he can play a number of positions, and that's vital in any league, particularly in the Championship, though, Michael, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, and there's the games, particularly in this year, where there's going to be a shorter season, a lot of midweek games and a condensed calendar. So yeah, the recovery time for players, and we have to manage the players realistically over that period. We're obviously dealing with the the cup as well in the early part of the season. So all of those things are factors that we have to take into consideration. But Jacob certainly can play in a number of positions, and with the physical attributes that he has and the pace that he has, I think we can develop him further into a top player.
And certainly you've added experience to the squad as well, with Stephen Fletcher coming in and obviously Mikel coming as well. So the experience is there, and you also added the youth. So you've got a nice blend and mix there, Michael, haven't you?
Yeah, totally. As I just said, when I look at the young players now that we have, I believe they're pushing, a lot harder and more realistically to come into my thoughts to be players that can start. We do have the experience in the squad, and we have that extra bit of quality. So overall, we're pleased with the squad as. We probably need to trim it in a few areas, but ultimately that's a little bit out of my hands. That's obviously based on what other clubs think and what other clubs are needing in relation to strengthening their teams. But we know the squad that we have here is in a good place. It's where we want it to be, and now we just have to prove that, obviously, by going and making sure we start the season well.
And Millwall up next, of course, and certainly they had a good finish to the season in terms of where they finished in the league. You had a good run towards the end of the season. How do you view Millwall? Have you had any opportunity to look at Millwall, either personally or through the videos? Is that the way you're going to be able to assess them and most of the opposition this time around, Michael?
Yeah, it's very difficult to assess them personally in terms of getting to the games in the current climate. It's not very easy to do that. We've obviously done video work on them. We have our own scouts that go to the games and watch the opposition. So yeah, we know what to expect. They've not made wholesale changes in terms of personnel within their squad. So on that basis, I think we're fairly well versed on what to expect on Saturday. It'll be a very tough game, but it's a good opening game for us, a chance to test ourselves. So yeah, I mean, our preparation won't differ from what it has done in the past, and we're always well aware of the opposition and where the threats are, but equally where the areas we believe we can exploit as well.
Always had a good travelling support. Unfortunately, that won't be happening this coming weekend. But likewise, the home team won't have the type of support. Is it a different occupation in the way you would have to view the game with no fans there, Michael?
No, not really. No, I mean, it's sad that there's no supporters there. Obviously, the atmosphere helps the game. I think, but I do think, to be fair to the players, post-lockdown and even in pre-season, there's been good intensity to most of the games. If you look at the game against Newcastle, the game had real intensity to it. That's a credit to both sets of players. Leeds was the same. So I don't envisage these games will be any different. We would all prefer that we were back to normal and the game was operating with obviously fans in the stadium, but it isn't. But it doesn't affect obviously how we prepare. Our preparation is based, on ourselves and obviously on the opposition.
We move on to Dave now, please, George.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Dave.
4 major new signings. I was wondering if you could go through each one and give us one line on what you think they bring to your squad.
Okay. Morgan Fox obviously is a natural left-sided defender. Can play left back. Can play left wing back. And I think what Morgan brings is good experience in the Championship. He's at a good age. Still got a lot to prove. Keen to do that in his career as well, and good physical attributes, and obviously a very competent player as well. And I've been very pleased with what we've seen to date, and I think he'll be a very good signing for the club. With John Obi Mikel, it was you're always a little bit when someone had taken a player from abroad essentially, but with John it wasn't like that because he's been in the UK for so long now. There was no worries about that scenario, and what John has demonstrated, his fitness levels are improving all the time. He hasn't played since March, but what we see every day in training is a top quality player who can handle the ball, who has able to tactically understand the game and help the players around him tactically. So yeah, he's been great since he came in. Stephen Fletcher had a little bit of an injury which has held him back a little bit, but I think Stephen's goal record wherever he's been has been impressive. He leads the line well, and has a physical presence, and obviously goal threat and real quality in terms of his link-up play. With James Chester, I think James is I think James proved himself this last season, rather in relation to the number of points we got with James in the team was high. He can play in a back three, he can play in a back four, and he's just a really good character and a good type, and a really, for me, a really top centre back. And then obviously young Morgan, or young Jacob rather, as we spoke about, who is a different profile, very quick, powerful boy, stepping up. I believe, to want the next phase of his career is to do it at a club like Stoke, but a boy with really high ambitions and a great attitude to work, and again, a player that we're delighted to get in the building.
Thank you. A lot of managers are quite intimidated by the fact that you're going to have to try and squeeze 50 games into 8 months, which is quite a lot. But after saying that, the last time you were at Shamrock, I think you were playing 50 to 60 games and playing in the Champions League and the Europa League, winning the Irish League. So this should be not such a problem for yourself.
No, I think a lot is made of the games, and I think the key in this league is not to look too far ahead. It's not to get when you're in a period of a downturn or you've got a little bit of poor form. It's to get yourself out of that as quickly as possible, not let that linger, not let it fester. And that's the way we'll approach the season. We have to deal with the 46 league games. Obviously, there'll be cup games in that as well. But our focus is purely on making sure we're not looking too far ahead. We have a squad, I believe, that's capable of dealing with the schedule mentally and physically. And as I say, the challenge that we have is the same for every other club in the league, and it will be a challenge, but it's one we're looking forward to.